In the stillness of a suburban evening, a routine traffic stop spirals into a tense standoff as a local cop draws his gun on a black woman, only to laugh dismissively when she reveals her FBI badge, unaware that within 2 minutes he'll find himself in handcuffs, his authority stripped away by the very badge he mocked. Special Agent Alicia Johnson had spent 8 years with the FBI, her career defined by a relentless pursuit of justice, particularly in cases involving corruption within law enforcement. On that warm Tuesday evening in Oakwood, a small town known for its quiet streets and unassuming charm, she was deep into one of her most challenging assignments yet. For 3 months she had been working undercover, posing as a low-level drug dealer to infiltrate a trafficking ring that had woven itself into the fabric of the community. The operation wasn't just about drugs. Evidence pointed to local police officers protecting the criminals, taking bribes, and ensuring shipments moved without interference. Alicia's mission was to identify those officers and gather the proof needed to dismantle the entire network. That night, she was positioned near a warehouse in the town's industrial district, a spot intelligence had flagged as a hub for the drug ring's activities. She sat in her black sedan, parked a block away, her eyes scanning the dimly lit surroundings. The car was unmarked, its worn exterior blending into the scenery, a deliberate choice to avoid drawing attention. She wore plain clothes, her firearm concealed beneath her jacket, and her FBI badge tucked into a hidden pocket. A wire, discreetly taped to her chest, recorded every sound, feeding it to her team stationed a few miles away. Her plan was simple: observe, document any activity, and slip away unnoticed. But plans, she knew from experience, rarely unfolded as expected. As she adjusted her position to get a better view of the warehouse, headlights flashed in her rearview mirror. A police cruiser pulled up behind her, its red and blue lights cutting through the dusk. Alicia's pulse quickened, though her face remained calm. It could be a routine patrol, she told herself. She kept her hands on the steering wheel, visible, as the officer stepped out and approached her window. His uniform identified him as Officer Mark Smith, a 10-year veteran of the Oakwood Police Department. She rolled down the window, meeting his gaze with a neutral expression. "Good evening, ma'am," Smith said, his voice carrying an edge of authority. "License and registration, please." "Of course, officer," Alicia replied, her tone steady. "Let me get them from the glove compartment." She reached over, moving deliberately, but Smith's eyes caught the slight bulge under her jacket. His hand snapped to his holster, his posture stiffening. "Stop! Keep your hands where I can see them." Alicia froze, then raised her hands slowly. Years of training had taught her how to navigate moments like this. "Officer, I'm going to reach into my jacket pocket for my identification. Is that okay?" Smith's eyes narrowed. Suspicion etched into his features. "Do it slowly." With careful precision, she pulled out a leather wallet and flipped it open, revealing her FBI badge and ID card. "I'm Special Agent Alicia Johnson, FBI. I'm here on official business?" Smith stared at the badge, then back at her. His mind churned. An FBI agent, here, alone, in an unmarked car? It didn't add up. He'd heard rumors of federal scrutiny, whispers that had kept him on edge for weeks. He'd been taking money from the drug ring for years, small amounts at first, then larger sums as he proved his loyalty. The cash had paid off his debts, kept his family comfortable, but it came with a price. If this woman was really FBI, she could ruin everything, yet something about her calm demeanor made him doubt her claim. Maybe she was bluffing, a criminal with a fake badge trying to throw him off. He let out a laugh, sharp and dismissive. "FBI, you expect me to believe that?" Alicia held his gaze, unflinching. "Yes, officer. My credentials are legitimate. You can verify them by calling your dispatch or the local FBI field office." But Smith wasn't interested in verification. His instinct screamed that she was a threat, whether she was FBI or not. If she was a Fed, he needed to act fast. If she wasn't, he couldn't let her walk away knowing he'd hesitated. He drew his gun, leveling it at her chest. "Get out of the car, now." Alicia's breath caught, but she kept her composure. She'd faced armed suspects before, but this was different. A police officer, someone who should have been an ally, now pointing a weapon at her. "Officer Smith," she said, reading his name tag, "there's no need for this. Please lower your gun." "Get out!" he shouted, his voice cracking with tension. She weighed her options. Resisting could escalate things further, but compliance might give her time to turn the situation around. Slowly, she opened the door and stepped out, hands raised. "All right, I'm out. Now, let's talk about this." Smith kept the gun trained on her, his finger hovering on the ground. Alicia hesitated. Getting on the ground would leave her vulnerable, stripping away any chance to control what happened next. She decided to push back, just enough to test him. "Officer, I'm going to reach for my phone to call my supervisor. You can speak to him directly and confirm who I am." Smith's eyes darted around, checking the empty street. His laughter came again, this time colder, more menacing. "You're not calling anyone. You're coming with me to the station." That response sent a chill through Alicia. Most officers, even skeptical ones, would at least consider verifying her identity. Smith's refusal suggested he had something to hide, something tied to the very operation she was investigating. She remembered the intel. Corrupt cops protecting the drug ring, possibly even eliminating threats to it. Was Smith one of them? She decided to probe further, buying time for her team to respond to the emergency signal she'd activated when he pulled her over. "Officer Smith, are you aware that interfering with a federal investigation is a serious offense?" she said, her voice firm but measured. His face twisted with anger. "Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about." Alicia pressed on, watching his reaction closely. "We have evidence of police corruption in this department. If you're involved, it's not too late to cooperate. We can offer protection." That struck a nerve. Smith's eyes widened, panic flashing across his features. He lunged forward, grabbing her arm and twisting it behind her back. "You're not taking me down," he hissed, his breath hot against her ear. Alicia's training kicked in. She twisted her body, breaking free from his grip and stepping back, her hand instinctively moving toward her concealed weapon. "Don't make this worse, Smith. Backup is on the way." Before he could respond, the sound of sirens pierced the air. 3 black SUVs sped into view, their lights flashing as they surrounded the scene. Agents in FBI vests leapt out, weapons drawn, shouting commands. "FBI, drop your weapon!" Smith froze, his gun still in hand, his gaze darting between Alicia and the approaching agents. Realization hit him. He was trapped. Slowly, he lowered the gun, letting it fall to the pavement with a clatter, and raised his hands. Agent Daniel Thompson, Alicia's partner, approached, with handcuffs ready. "Officer Smith, you're under arrest for assaulting a federal agent and for your suspected involvement in the drug trafficking operation." Smith's voice trembled as he stammered, "Wait, I didn't know she was really FBI. I thought she was lying." "Save it!" Thompson cut in, securing the cuffs around Smith's wrists. "You'll have plenty of time to explain yourself." As Smith was led to one of the SUVs, Alicia exhaled, the adrenaline still coursing through her. She turned to Thompson. "Thanks for getting here so fast." Thompson nodded, a faint smile breaking through his stern demeanor. "Got your signal loud and clear. You okay?" "Yeah," she said, brushing off her jacket. "Just glad it's over." But it wasn't over. Not entirely. Back at the FBI field office later that night, Alicia sat with Thompson and Special Agent in Charge Maria Ramirez, debriefing the incident. The Wire had captured everything. Smith's threats, his refusal to verify her identity, and his panicked admission when she mentioned the corruption investigation. It was damning evidence not just against him but potentially against others in the department. Ramirez leaned forward, her expression a mix of pride and concern. "Alicia, you handled that perfectly. Smith's arrest gives us a foothold to go after the bigger players. With the evidence you've gathered over these months, we're ready to issue warrants for several officers and the ring's leaders." Alicia nodded, exhaustion settling in. It was close, but if this cracks the case wide open, it was worth it. "It will," Ramirez assured her. "We've got Smith in interrogation now. If he talks, and I suspect he will given how shaken he was, we'll have names, dates, everything we need." The next morning, Alicia found herself walking through Oakwoods downtown, needing a moment to clear her head after the intensity of the previous night. She stopped at a cafe, ordering a coffee and sitting outside to watch the town come to life. People moved about their routines, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. the arrests that would soon dominate local headlines. A woman approached her table, her face lined with years of worry. "Excuse me, are you the FBI agent who arrested that cop last night?" Alicia looked up, caught off guard. "Yes, I am. How did you know?" The woman smiled faintly. "Small town. Word gets around fast. I'm Martha Evans. I just wanted to thank you. That officer, Smith, he was involved in my son's death." "I'm so sorry," Alicia said, setting her coffee down. "What happened?" Martha's voice wavered as she spoke. "My son, Tyler, got caught up in drugs. He was trying to get clean, to get away from those people, but they wouldn't let him. I went to the police for help, and Smith was the one I talked to. He brushed me off, said Tyler was just another addict. A week later, Tyler was dead. Overdose. I've always believed it wasn't an accident." Alicia listened, her heart sinking. That must have been devastating. "We're uncovering a lot of corruption tied to the drug ring. It's possible Smith was protecting them." Martha nodded, tears welling up. "I knew something wasn't right. Thank you for what you're doing. Maybe now other families won't go through what we did." Alicia reached out, resting a hand on Martha's arm. "We'll do everything we can to make sure justice is served for Tyler and everyone else affected." As Martha walked away, Alicia sat back, staring into her coffee. The encounter brought her thoughts to her own past. She'd grown up in a neighborhood where crime was a constant shadow. Her father, a police officer who stood out for his honesty. He'd been killed when she was 16, shot by a fellow cop who'd been taking payoffs to look the other way during a robbery. That loss had driven her to the FBI. A promise to herself and her father's memory to root out corruption wherever it festered. This case in Oakwood felt personal, echoing the betrayal she'd witnessed as a teenager. She thought of her father now, imagining his quiet pride. "I'm trying, Dad," she murmured under her breath. "I'm trying to make it right." Back at the field office, the investigation moved swiftly. Smith, under pressure in interrogation, began to talk. He named Sergeant Paul Davis, a senior officer who'd recruited him into the scheme, promising protection in exchange for loyalty. Davis had been the linchpin, coordinating with the drug ring's leaders and keeping the department's honest officers in the dark. Smith's testimony, combined with Alicia's recordings and months of surveillance, gave the FBI what they needed to move forward. Over the next few days, warrants were executed. Davis and 3 other officers were arrested, along with the drug ring's key figures. The warehouse was raided, yielding crates of narcotics and documents tying the operation to a broader network stretching beyond Oakwood. The town reeled as the news broke, residents grappling with the revelation that those meant to protect them had been complicit in their suffering. Alicia stayed in Oakwood a little longer, overseeing the cleanup and ensuring the evidence was airtight for prosecution. She met with Ramirez again, who commended her work. "You've done more than break this case, Alicia. You've given this community a chance to heal." "It's a start," Alicia replied, "but there's always more to do." Ramirez nodded. "True. But for now, take a moment to breathe. You've earned it." Driving out of Oakwood that evening, Alicia glanced at the town, fading in her rearview mirror. The confrontation with Smith had been a turning point, a 2-minute clash that unraveled years of corruption. It wasn't just about one arrest. It was about restoring trust, about proving that the system could still work for the people it served. She felt the weight of that responsibility, but also a quiet satisfaction. For every officer like Smith, there were others, like her father, who'd held the line. And as long as she was around, she'd keep fighting to honor that legacy. The road stretched ahead, leading her back to the field office and whatever case came next. In the silence of the drive, she allowed herself a small smile, knowing she'd made a difference. One badge, one moment, one town at a time.